Okay, so this was definitely user error. This was user error. This was not supernatural. This is not paranormal. This was user error. So I'm going to message everyone who kindly messaged me back on my Instagram. But this is definitely user error. So I'm back. This was not, chat is still off. No, the chat's still on. I can see you. I can see you. Hi, Bernie. Hi, Dominique. I see you. Okay, this is what I did. If you click, I sent an IG message. Thank you, Bernie. If you click cool for kids, it won't let you do chat. And I always forget, like, if you're saying it's good for kids, you can't like curse or do anything. And so I don't know why I did that. That was a bad, I think, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing anything crazy, But yeah, so I made a mistake. I wonder if that's the same on my podcast. I should see, that's what's confusing, because on the podcast, if you put illicit, then it's implying that you're some kind of crazy, inappropriate podcast, versus in YouTube, it's just like all of these types of things that I'm doing. It's just driving me crazy. Anyway, it's user error. Hi, Dela. Good to see you. I'm being sneaky at work listening to you. Oh, okay. Don't get in trouble. So I'm doing live readings. This is for donation. I appreciate the donations not to be in Super Chat, but rather in my Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. I have all of the information in there, but I can like write it here. And then also let's just chat paranormal talk. Any questions you guys have about that? And then I make a list. I'm doing intuitive or medium readings. If you're not familiar with my readings, I'll explain to you how I work. Also just announcing that that I'm doing this class, and I don't know if you guys have seen. And I felt like it was kind of confusing because I've talked about Ouija boards and all this, and have told you guys to be really careful. So I'm sure you're like, oh, now you're going to teach a class on Ouija boards. Yes, here's why. Because I decided that people ask me all the time how to use them appropriately. So I might as well teach you. So I'm doing a class on more than just Ouija boards. It's a class on divination and sort of. So in other words, hi Lolita. So in other words, it's a class where I'll teach you how to use a Ouija board. I'll teach you how to, 1 week we'll do a Ouija board, next week, and you don't have to even buy a Ouija board. You don't have to. You could just take the class and learn in case one day you ever want to use one or you're around someone who uses them. This is a 4-week course and it meets once a week. And so I wanted to explain because I realized people might be a little intimidated. And then the next week, it's a crystal ball. I'm excited the class because I want to use mine. Awesome. Then sign up. Oh, yeah, you're doing the spirit board class. Yes. The 1 week will be spirit board. The next week, I use Ouija boards because more of the masses know it as Ouija. And some of you clever witchy people kind of more know it as spirit board. And then the next week will be crystal ball. And then, it won't go exactly this order, but 1 week will be crystal ball. And then the 1 week will be oracle cards. And then the 1 week will be candle magic and how to scry your candle. So I'll show you how to do a magic candle and then show you how to scry it. So it's basically tools. And I know it's divination and all that, but oh, excuse me while I drink from my house medium mug that I don't think anyone cares. Anyway, so I get so many emails and DMs about spirit boards and tarot cards, which I'm not doing tarot cards because I have read tarot cards in the past. I have. And honestly, if I wanted to pick up, okay, got you, Claudia. If I wanted to pick up tarot card reading, I could, because I used to do it. What are your thoughts on pendulums? I come across mixed opinions. I have one opinion. I think they're very subjective. I mean, I have never seen them not be subjective. I have seen people do some pretty incredible things. I have you, Claudia, down for an intuitive reading. I've seen people do some really clever, like pretty magical, amazing things with fire, with crystal balls, with tea leaf reading, very witchy, awesome, cool stuff. But I have yet to see any real pendulum use. It's very, very subjective. I feel unconsciously people tend to move the pendulum. I just don't dig it too much. If anyone is on the fence about getting a reading by Adela, do yourself a favor and get it. She's the most amazing reading with my dad last week. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you, Hannah. That was very kind. Thank you. Also, yes, you can book a full length reading at AdelaLavine.com. And for you Patreon members who are on my Patreon, it's $5 to join, and I post energy climates daily. I do speed readings for the month, give you kind of a vibe. It's kind of like a vibe speed reading, each and every member. And plus, you get 35% off of all my readings anytime you want. I think it's pretty good for $5. And I do meditation videos. So I do 4 videos a month plus energy climates every day, 5 days a week. I give myself the weekend off. So, you can also join that too. So there's different ways I'm putting stuff out, as well as my podcast, which is, did anybody listen to the NDE podcast I did with Bill Letson? Bill Letson went pretty viral here on YouTube. You can look up his name right now since you're on the YouTube. And I had him on my podcast last week, actually week ago, 2 weeks ago. So if you look up Bill Letson, he tells a really good near-death experience story, most powerful one I've heard, the most legit one. Update, me and Bill met in person, and I'm going to be talking about that on next week's podcast, all about what happened when we met and meeting him in person. It went from me seeing his video on TikTok to seeing his video on here to me having him on my podcast. I've only listened to part of his Bill story, but we'll listen to the rest soon. Awesome. If someone is on life support, are they aware of loved ones being with them in the room? Usually, yes, because they're in between the worlds. I think I've only experienced one time no, because the person was so kind of, maybe they were a little bit not sure about leaving this world, or I forget the reason, but I will say 99.90% of my readings every time is a yes. People who are on life support are in between the worlds. So they're not in this world. They're not in the next world completely. They're in between. And they're very much, they'll always say, people will get confused because in readings I'll say, oh, they knew you were there, you were in the room. And they're like, oh, but they'll say something like, yeah, but they were on life support, or how could they have known? And I'll say they know because in between the worlds. That's a interesting question. It's the same with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. I have been able, and okay, I have you, Carmen, right? Oh, Bernicia. Is that you, Bernie? I'm guessing that's you for an intuitive reading. Got you. Yes, I got you. So I've had people Many times people will start to tell me stuff and I'll say, "Oh, they said this was going on, that was going on." And they're like, "Oh, but they were on life support. They didn't know." And I said, "They do know. They do know." So yes. Um okay. Any other questions before I start getting started with readings? If you're new to me, which I doubt most people in here are probably not, intuitive readings are about you and the different things going on in your life. So I need you to pick a specific question. As a reader and a seer, I don't believe the future is ordained, predestined, or fate. Um, Much like the law of every action, there is a reaction, is how I believe the future unfolds, meaning the decisions you're making, the things you're doing kind of set a domino effect into what is going to unfold in the future. So you have a hand in your own future, what decisions you make in the directions you go. And what I do as a seer is jump down those possible timelines and see what I see. I do remote view, and if you want to know what that means, I can explain that. And can get timelines and dates. A medium reading is specific to connecting you to someone who has passed on. So you would pick one particular person you like me to connect you with, and you don't need to give me a name or the backstory of this person. You just say, my grandmother, my mother's side, a best friend of mine. Why? Because they already know. They knew you were coming here. Kind of imagine like you're being watched on the internet, and then you wonder how someone knew all these things about you times a million. So that is how. So that's, and the medium reading, that those are two separate readings. The intuitive are 15, the medium are 20, because mediums are a lot more of a specialty thing, and the way I do them are extremely much a specialty thing, meaning most people just tell you some general, like someone's around you vibe. I saw the Haunted Mansion movie. I cannot wait to share on my podcast what I thought, but I had to see it. Obviously, Madame Leota is me. I hope not, actually. Now I think about it. I don't want her to be me. Her end wasn't great. But I love that ride. I've loved that ride since I was a kid, and I don't think I knew why until I got older why. And the last time we went on the ride before the movie, literally about a month ago, I got stuck on the Haunted Mansion right smack in the middle of the scene with all the spirits dancing in the dining room area. And I'm like, yeah, sounds fitting for me for 10 minutes. Anyway, and so the Haunted Mansion movie did do it justice, I believe. Um, did I love the psychic, Tiffany Haddish? No, it was very stereotypical. She's a little flaky, she's a little fakey, she's a little real. That's the thing on the top of her head. That's just as this is very stereotype. But I am going to give my full review in my podcast. I don't want to give everything away here, but listen to the house medium. I will review it. You guys have been sending me in your coffees. Um, um, for me to review on the house medium, and I did my first review, Bones Coffee Strawberry Cheesecake. This is not coffee, however, but and you can listen to the podcast to think what you think. But if you listen to the house medium, then follow me on the house medium on Instagram. If you haven't, you should. People send in their stories, their paranormal stories, and I tell them what I see. They have them come on and I tell you what I see, and then people are able to verify, sometimes in IRL, like right then and there, or sometimes they send in a verification or update to what I see. So, unlike a lot of other paranormal stuff, there's two things I do different. I can tell you what it is versus to like wonder who it is and wonder what. I'm just going to tell you. And the second thing is, I kind of do a positive tip on it, like kind of like the Haunted Mansion. It's like, they're dead people. It's nothing really too too much, and sometimes they're your family and they're friends, and there's a story behind it. So, yes, the Haunted Mansion is on my watch list. Looks good. I really, yeah, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to give any spoiler alerts too much. Over time, if you're listening to my podcast, I will have to warn you. I will give you spoilers. I won't give spoilers of what actually happens. I'm just going to give the overall, you know, the look of it, the feel of it, the acting and stuff like this. I only had one issue with casting. Oh, but Jamie Lee Curtis as Madam Leota, she did it. She nailed it. Okay. So, and the makeup artist, by the way, shout out to the makeup artist because and the special effects because they really did finagle her to be that character. I could have done it though. Just saying, everybody. If you want to let Disney know, they could use the house medium. Let's let them know. All right. So anyway, any other questions before we get started with Claudia and Bernie C? When you ask your question, throw in your question into the chat. Once you donated on my PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, I prefer those three. And I'm torn between that. After you've donated, yeah, so I am taking donations, T for Darkness. So are you Claudia? Is that Claudia? Oh, sorry about that. Okay. I'm torn between the work I do when I go back to Australia. I've been a florist the last 4 years, which I love, but not enough pay. I want a job that will lead me buying a house quickly. So that's you, right? See? Just give me a yay or nay. I just want to make sure I'm not missing someone. Yes. Okay. So I'm torn between the work that I do when I go back to Australia. I've been a florist the last 4 years, which I love, but not enough pay. I want a job that would lead me to buying a house quickly. Whew. Maybe you should ask this question. Are you sure you want to buy a house quickly? Are you sure you want to, um, first of all, you want to buying a house quickly just kind of doesn't sound like a good plan. I'm just saying intuitively, as I put on lipstick, renting is too expensive in Australia. Gotcha. I needed that clarification because it's the opposite here. Actually, it's not the opposite here. It is cheaper to have a mortgage. You're right, even in here. But to get the house is more expensive as they are mostly $1 million homes. Okay, we have a deposit. Okay, those are good details. But the first thing that comes to me for you to do, I actually got like, but you need a 6 month of full time of 1 year part time for them to give you a mortgage. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So, my feeling though, when I saw you switching careers, I just can't see you getting out of the green thumb business. So, I kind of saw like, you combining almost your two loves, like your love for um, things that are spiritual and what you are, have a connection to the to plants, right? And earth. We'll be living with my mom, so I feel like I just have to say this to you. You have to pick which direction you're going to go with what you are loving. What is your passion? If you just go into something going, I just have to make money at it and then I'm out. I just don't see that working. Some that works for some people who are just not as sensitive or not as, needing to connect to something on a more deeper level. But I don't see that working for you. Like, so I feel like it has to be some for you to thrive financially and otherwise, but we're talking financially here. I feel like it needs to be something you have passion for. So I saw you kind of going more into, I want to say almost like holistic type of world, meaning like working at a place where you can learn all those types of things. I have you, Tanaya, where you can learn all those types of things. and go in that direction. And then if you add, and this may sound a little bit like, whoa, Adela, you're kind of giving me a lot of things. But if you were to even add learning stuff more about the body, I just kind of saw you going into holistic healing. It's not a fast route though. If you want a fast route, I can look at that path and just give you an answer for the fast route. But you know, the way I read, I'm going to try and cover all of the aspects of you as a person, which is your heart, soul, and, person, physical person, not just the, financial part. Um, so, okay, I got you. Um, Wait, did someone else was LWG? Oh, Lydia. Got you, Lydia. You see what I'm saying? What do you think about that? Because if you want me to look at, got you, Lydia. Um, if you want me to look at what it will be like if you just like go down the path of just doing all the and thank you guys for joining. And if you can like and share with anybody you think would be interested, it really helps. Um, thank you, Adela. I have a few people around me that do spiritual healing and Reiki that you would work with, because I feel like I just have this vision of you. I have this vision of you being naturally good at it, especially with the herbal, because it's one thing to do Reiki. I would say stay away from Reiki and kind of more go into the herbal, holistic healing, but take a class and almost like take a very easy 1 semester class on the body, meaning like understanding the physical body. The problem with a lot of people that don't do well in holistic healing is that they come across like snake oil salesmen, people who are like, ooh, use this, use that, use this holistic, amazing thing, but they know nothing about the physical body and what will give you a leg up. And that's the vision I have of you. Like maybe you keep adding things to your roster. Like I'm learning about the physical aspect of the body and how it works, learning about nutrition, learning about this, you know what I mean? So that you start to become more well rounded and more grounded about it. And that's the path. If you want me to look at like let me just get the dollars in and I'll worry about that later. Cool, sounds fun and exciting. Then I can look at that. But I feel like stay at your flower shop and start to learn and do this on the side and start to build. I just feel like you're going to take it to like from duck to water. Okay. And you always know where you can find me if you want a more full length reading on that. Yeah, it does sound fun and exciting. It does. Yay. It does. Like seriously, I agree. I didn't mean it to sound like yay. No, I mean it does to me feel more like you. And that's what I do, everyone. But I will answer those questions. If someone's like, screw all that, Adela, just where's the bucks? And I just don't care. I the one thing about being a reader is that we don't judge. And this is why people, I think, feel comfortable telling us a lot of things and being more honest with us, because we're a bunch of fringe weirdos and we're judged all the time. So if someone says to me like, I just want to go, to the script club and just make dollars, I'll help them with that. It's like, if they're legal and they are in sound mind and making this decision for themselves, meaning they are have own their own stuff. Um, and no, an adult, there's no judgment on things. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, by the way, T for darkness. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, this is how much I love guiding people, because, and what I like about what I do is that a part of it is there's a plus and a minus to being like behind the curtain type of person that people don't quite always advertise. They come to you. The plus is, um, people feel very comfortable. People are more honest. People are more real because we can see them. And so it's a little hard to not be. And the other is that, we cannot be judgmental and people can be just open. The downside is that a lot of times people, again, hide that they come to us. You did a reading for me earlier this year for my husband. Um, getting his visa, and your prediction was very accurate. 9 months for him moving and 4 months to be apart. It's crazy. If there was a fast option, would it be flowers? Um, no, it wouldn't. It would just be like jumping into like kind of more like an insurance type of job, working for a medical system and just, even the pharmaceutical like seller, selling pharmaceuticals, something like that. So, okay, I was saying you did a reading for me earlier this year for my husband immigrating and your prediction was very accurate. 9 months for him moving and 4 months we be apart. It's crazy. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, is that good? I hope that's good. I hope that helped. Okay. So, Bernie C., you guys can throw up any paranormal question. Okay, good. Bernie C., that I'm so glad. I'm glad that helped. Yeah, law is very easy to see. I don't know, should I be saying that on YouTube? But I can see legal things. Legal things is so like follows a line that I got to do is remote view the judge and the lawyers to be able to help guide people in that area. um because and the other thing about law is that I tell people like what to say, not to say, what to do, not to do, because your behavior and your way of being in anything legal will affect the outcome. So I read for a lot of lawyers. I'm not saying I read lawyers their cases. I'm saying they're believers more than you think, and judges more than you think. Okay. Let's go to Bernie C. And if you guys want to throw up any paranormal questions you might have, because we are also doing paranormal chitty chat chat. I'm going to do Bernie C. is doing an intuitive reading. So, yeah, my husband and I are in the process of moving to a new city, and I'd like to know what that path looks like. Okay. Um, So I also want to remind you, everyone, to go ahead and feel free to let me know what pronoun you'd like me to refer you as so I can be respectful of that. Okay. All right. So Bernie, let me take a look at the move. Whew, she, her. Okay, thanks. Um, So when I see you guys going, I don't know, feels really good. Are you guys going cross country or something? I know you said a new city, but it felt like kind of a far bit of a trek. I saw you kind of like going on this move. I feel like the move actually is very fun. I know that sounds strange, but because when is moving fun? Cross Texas. Okay, that's what I saw. Oh, no wonder it's a long trek to a new city. You're not in you're not in like a small little area. You're in Texas. You're like it's like living here in California. Big stretch of land. Okay. Um yeah, I feel like when I see you, I actually see you guys having a lot of fun. The other thing is, I feel like there's a sense of relief. Like you're moving into this new place. It's going to be so much more fitting of your lifestyle and the people you are in general. So it feels very, very positive. Um, I think the only thing I see getting in your way is almost like, I want to say, like a doubt of, friendship or like support group or something. Like it may take you like a minute to kind of feel comfortable with this new people around you. I feel like making friends. I know that sounds like making friends, but it's true. Like, finding your own vibe. I would say it's not you, honestly, Bernice. I feel like it's your husband is going to have a little harder time adapting to new um, change. I don't see you having a hard time. So I feel like you guys have to really be helpful with each other. But other than that, I don't see any issues. Is there a specific issue you're concerned about? I don't see there being an issue financially. I feel like it's more the uncomfortableness of feeling like you're no longer in familiar territory. I don't know how long you guys were there, but he definitely is nervous about that. So I feel like that's more the vibe I get. I was having a lot of jitters about it because it's such a big change. I see you doing fine. I think you're going to adapt to it like pretty easily. We're moving into our first home. Okay. So I think that's why I felt like I should look if you were nervous, if there was any issues. And then the clock just popped up 111. I don't know. Everything feels like it's coming up roses. I feel like you guys got to let go of like it. This is what I want to say. Embrace the nervousness of the change because change could be really scary, but it's exciting. So I feel like you guys have to, rather than approaching it like we have to find what's going to be our store, what's going to be our coffee shop, or whatever, right? Look at it more like we have to go on an adventure of exploring our area, finding new things. Like you have to change your thinking. The only reason why I'm reminding you of this is because I see you guys getting really, really overwhelmed with change, especially your husband. So if you look at it like everything, I don't see there being an issue with the home. Remember to cleanse it. If you listen to my podcast, The House Medium, what do you do when you go into the new home? Cleanse that whole goddamn place from top to bottom. Cleanse. Good job. Yay. Yeah, hand clap for that. Everybody give her a round of applause. Cleanse, okay? You can cleanse by spray. I'm going to sound like I'm learning. I'm going to sound like Dr. Seuss. You can cleanse by spray, you can cleanse by incense. You can cleanse by oils, you can cleanse by music. If you playing music, you can cleanse with bells. You can cleanse with you know, water, if you want to use. I love using bells. Yes, you can just go around and use bells. I would say there should be no problem if you don't want to burn incenses. You're like, listen, I just don't want to be burning anything right off the bat. That's fine. Then go ahead and, use a spray and go around and use your voice. This is a place of light. This is a place of good intention. All those get out. I am not telling you this because I feel like there's anything. It's just like if you move into a place, don't you want to clean it, physically clean it? Well, you got to clean the energy too. Okay. I don't see anything. I searched and I searched and I'm looking under all the nooks and crannies of like, why are you asking me this? Is there another reason or is it just jitters? If it's just jitters, I don't see. I would say you guys got to approach this with like, this is a fun new adventure we're on. Let's enjoy this adventure. Let's see this as exploring, right? Then you'll be fine. But if you approach it with this like jaws clench because you're so afraid of this change, it's going to trip up the experience and trip you up. Okay, we're going to go next to TB, but before we go to TB, does anybody have any spiritual paranormal questions they might need me? Thank you so much. And yeah, lots of jitters mostly, but I needed this. Yeah, it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. Change is nerve-wracking, but oh man, it's the best. You never want to get too stagnant, right? You don't want to just get like, a bah humbug, like boom, 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 boom. Are you a person who's like a routine person? Anybody a routine person? I'm not. And here's like a perfect example of cleanse. On the topic of cleanse, how often should one do so? If you are not actively like a reader and someone who isn't practicing psychic stuff and you're just like, Adele, I'm just spiritual and I just kind of walk around in my life, on the reg, just, living my life, in a normal, quote, normal capacity once a week. If you're reading, if you're practicing reading, if you're trying to learn these types of things every day. If you work with the public, and you are a person who touches hair or does nails or is a massage therapist every day, yourself and your space of some form of fashion, even if it's just like, sometimes I just take one of these and oops, sorry, I always do this. I do the wrong end every time. You think, and you just need to take like a quick stick of incense. I like this kind because it's pure incense. You see what I mean? It's not like half stick and then incense. This is really a bang for your buck. When you get one like this, it may look smaller, but you're getting way more incense. Got it. Thanks. I need to do one every day then. Yes. If you're going to get stick, and this is the name of their incense, pure incense. This is a frankincense and myrrh stick. If you're going to get a stick incense and you don't want to do like resin with coal, get this kind. Because I'm telling you, like the other kind of stick incense is like half of this. And then sometimes there's like homemade, and you'll see they're like really thick or handmade looking ones. Those are okay because they have it packed on. But most stick incense is kind of BS. Not lavender or rose. Those are pretty and they smell good, but for cleansing, frankincense and myrrh or dragon's blood. And you just say, this is a place of light. This is a place of good intention. All those are welcome. Everyone else, vamonos, leave, get out. Right? And then just, go around in each corner. Or use resin incense, which is very different. Resin incense looks like, and also if you have a crystal, hold it in your hand while you do it. Clear quartz or something like this. And this is resin incense, which looks like this. They look like little rocks like that. And this is a frankincense and myrrh resin incense, and you burn it on a coal. Does anyone know? No, everyone knows what coal looks like. And you put it in something tin, and coal looks like this after it's been burnt up. See, I burnt that up. And those are the different ways. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm doing readings, intuitive readings, and medium readings. And we just did 2 intuitive readings. So now we're going to do 2 medium readings. So TB, you signed up for a medium reading. Who are you looking to talk to? So when you sign up for a medium reading, then you just tell me who you'd like to speak to by your relationship to the person. Like, I frequently see and feel spirits in my apartment over the past few months. I've been waking up at 3 a.m. daily. Please tell me why this is happening. Perimenopause, spiritual, both. Who are they? Okay, well, I'm not going to look into your house and tell you all of them who they are because I don't like to do medium readings unless we can kind of, confirm, which, kind of like on my podcast, confirm to a certain degree. So I can look and see on a brief note, but I would say that 3 a.m. I would, and I hear what you're saying, perimenopause. But I've been getting up at 3 a.m. since I was a baby. So I don't feel that's connected, although getting up in the middle of the night, as anybody who's been perimenopause will tell you, that is definitely a symptom. But I feel like the fact that it's 3 a.m., because they do like to kind of hit that, that's where we're kind of REM sleeping. It's kind of when you're in a more of a deep sleep and you're a little more open to that realm. So let me take a look. Okay. I'll take a look. Let's see what's going on with you. No, it's not a warning. I think people always think that it has nothing to do with warning. Here's a rule that you might want to go to. Don't go to the negative first. Always go to the positive. Because pretty much 80% of the time, spirits communicating are just trying to communicate. It's not always a warning. Sometimes it is, but even the warning is positive, like we're just trying to help you. I see someone, I feel like it's a woman. I see an older woman. Um, and this is kind of not what I normally do mediums readings for, but I don't feel like this is a negative thing. She looks like she's trying to help. I feel like this is kind of more like a grandmother type of person. Um, she's just saying that feels like I keep seeing that she's been trying to comfort you. Like you've been going through some stuff and she's been trying to kind of help reassure you, you know, that everything's going to be okay, that you're making the right decisions. I feel like this is a woman on your mother's side. I know, I feel like we've talked to this person. We've talked to your grandmother, right? And your mother's side before. She's much softer now. I feel like it's about you and you healing. That's what I hear her saying, taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and recognizing you're not alone. Maybe you've been feeling alone. Oh, well, I'm talking about a maternal grandmother. This is maternal. Sorry. This is a maternal grandmother, not a paternal grandmother. Um, so the person I'm seeing is feeling, I hear her saying maternal grandmother. Yeah. She's not the person you knew her to be. She's very different. This is more about you and you feeling like you've been alone and trying to reassure you you're not alone and that there's plenty around you. Yes, my maternal grandmother was a firecracker. Yeah, she's not like that anymore. She's much more calm. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why she keeps saying I've grown and I've changed and I'm much more of a calm person. She says I hear this a lot from that realm that she didn't come to visit you. Just remember, nobody comes to visit, they just tune in. And she's not the same person. And so listen to what she's saying. She's not the same person anymore, and neither should you. And that change and growth is good, and that letting go of the past is necessary. You need to let go of holding on to the past and onto your family, like create your own world. Like she's saying that you kind of measure everything according to your upbringing, and a lot of it holds you back. And that being more present and more, you know, they're not those people anymore. She's much more calm. She's much more forgiving of herself and others. It's just a whole different vibe than I think you're used to from her. It's actually quite lovely, and you need that. Do you understand? You need that. It's called healing and letting go. So remember, she doesn't need to visit. She can just kind of grab your attention, trying to grab your attention. And that's what that world does. It's kind of like someone trying to text you. And when you're sleeping at that time, you're in the dream wake state mostly pretty well. They can grab you in between. I'm more concerned about creating my own family now. Yeah, you're probably in perimenopause at this point. So, I don't know. I can't speak on that, and they can't really speak on that. I think that's why she's saying for you to let go and kind of move forward. But that's a longer type of reading, you know? But that seems to be the message about you letting go and moving forward and being present and accepting the now, accepting what is happening now. Because I know you, TB, you tend to get like, this is what should happen, this is how it should look, and this is what I should be doing. And you give yourself these very exact things, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda type of vibe. And I feel like she's trying to help you. And I definitely feel like she's trying to help with the healing process or something special and important about your grandmother. on your mom's side doing this. Does anybody have any spiritual or paranormal questions before I move on to Lydia? If you have any, like, just checking, any spiritual questions? Any paranormal questions? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, then we're going to move on to Lydia. Nobody has any questions? Okay. Well, we'll move on to Lydia. Lydia, why don't you tell me who you'd like to speak to? Yeah. I feel like this is positive, TB. This was a nice one. My grandfather on my mother's side, please. Okay. Your grandfather on your mother's side, she, her. Okay. Yeah, I just want to end with TB knowing this is positive. It felt very lovely. It's the best word. Lovely. And not the preachy or yelling at you, just it felt more loving than that. Okay, grandfather on my mother's side. All right, hold on. I have one, but I'm trying to word it right. Okay. Grandfather on my mother's side. Okay, so remember um I usually hold on, I have to answer this. Okay. I I usually start with how they passed, and so we can get those details out and things like this. So here we go. So the first thing I see, Lydia, is like they're kind of like, oh, I knew about I knew I was going to die. I knew it was going to pass. We don't need to waste time on that. That's like his attitude, like, oh, don't worry about that. It's fine. I'm fine. I knew what was coming. Like he's very accepting. Um, he said about his passing, he said he had a good long time and he appreciated it. It could have been longer, but he appreciates it. Um, he's saying that he um, kind of felt like the difficulty was high. Yes, he was in the hospital and it was slow and fast. Right. I was just about to get to that part, but okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's saying that like it's kind of like he was oh no, that's what I was going to say. It was more frustrating for him leading up to his passing. He's like when I knew I was done and it was going to be done, I was fine. When I knew I was right like on my way there, I was ready for it. He was more irritated about feeling like he couldn't be himself anymore. He didn't like being older. He didn't like relying on anybody, being looked at as some victim. He just wasn't that kind of person. He keeps showing me his hands and saying his hands were very strong and he used his hands and he built things or something. I don't know if he actually built things or if he built his own life, like he built the life he went to. Oh, and he just kind of gave me this interesting view. He's saying like everyone should appreciate their health. This is this is a message for everyone. Everyone should appreciate their health. Like don't take your health for granted. Like make sure you know that your health is the most important thing because he says when you start to kind of get older, I just heard like something, so hold on. I just heard something crash around me, so I just wanted to make sure everyone's okay. Um, w- when you take for granted your health, um, is something he kind of did in his life. Like he felt like he just kind of ran his body into the ground. Do you know what he's talking about? Because he seems to have a lecture for us all sitting here to not take for granted our physical selves. And that was actually harder for him than dying. Once he passed, he said it was just like very fast and he left this world, meaning what was very fast is his spirit just popped right out of his body. He knew where he was. He says it smelled like roses and he goes, you do get smells, but it's different than here. It's way more like through your whole being. You don't have a physical body. He said it felt like roses and cherries and it just beautiful. And he was a smoker and a while and had lung issues later. Hmm. Yeah, he's not being judgmental on people who smoke. He's kind of more like, just take care of your health. If you take care of your health, you'll be grateful. He just didn't. He kind of just ran his, but he just kind of like, you know, pushed himself into the ground. Anyway, he's saying that he was surprised that death was so quick and that there wasn't like pearly gates or someone waiting with it. So I kind of feel like he might have believed in some kind of religion or was raised that way. He says, just be happy for him because he's free. He's young again. I'm handsome again. I'm viral again. Viral again. Sorry, not viral. Sorry, grandfather. Um, and um, and then he says something about, hold on a second. Keeps talking about wait, hold on. He's saying something about the month of November. So I don't know if that makes any sense. Something about the month of November. And to remember him at this time. Yeah, does this make any sense to you? Any of the stuff he's describing? Um, that's my mom's birthday and maybe his birthday. I have to check. Okay, cool. Anything make sense to you about the other stuff? Oh, and he says his last advice to you is to follow your own path. Like make your own way. Like don't get caught up in what the family wants you to do. To march to the beat of your own drum. He says to everybody. It seems like he wants everybody to have advice today because he's saying to everybody what he's learned from being in that other realm is that when you don't follow your own path, right? And when you're listening to other people and what they tell you to do, and you self-doubt is causes unhappiness. So he says, F them, F everybody. I'm just not saying the full word. Um, do what is right for you. So I hope that makes sense. That sounds like it. All right. Those are all the readings I have right now. Question for after this reading. If someone is married when they die, do they remain married after death? No. As in, do they still feel connection with their spouse? I don't know if that makes sense. If you are not married for eternity, that is bullshit. It's not a thing. If you can have connection to the I will say that this is a great question because this comes up over and over and over again, that people will say, listen, I know this. A grandmother will say this, a grandfather, a mom, a dad. I know we were married. I know you guys saw us this way, but we're not married here. They choose. You can still feel connected if you truly are in love. What marriage matters there is your soul. If your souls are intertwined with each other for real, then that continues on if you choose. If you're someone who just were married on paper and you both were miserable or one of you is miserable, everyone gets to choose. They can say, listen, you have your path, I have mine. It's very rare that I see people who really loved each other and were married, like loved each other in the way like, yes, I'm connected to this person and I'll remain connected to this person. But even people like that who have passed will say, if they left their spouse here, and you should listen to one of my podcasts because I had a client on there of mine, Glenn. who lost his wife, and he learned through me how to connect with her and communicate with her, and he had that. They had a very very special, loving relationship. Um, but even he had to like move forward in this world and connect with someone else. And she was like, "Yeah, that's fine, because our connection never dies." However, it's choice. If you want to be with that person and you don't, and you're not with them like here. You have to remember, we get married, and marriage originally was made to find two people to combine their lives financially and physically and otherwise, so that you can survive the elements. Yeah, well, the love connection is individual basis. It's truly up to each individual. There's no automatic like, well, you're married, that's where you're. It's individual basis. I can't say, that's choice. Each person has a choice. Some people may say, "I know you thought we were connected, but I'm not." But usually it's not that. Usually they both knew they were just um, with each other for time. It's by choice. If the person you're connected with feels the same way back, then that's their choice. I mean, it really is a choice. It is not an automatic thing that you're married here and that you stay emotionally and spiritually connected to the person in the afterlife. It is not automatic. And it's very, very different. We are possessive here. We latch onto each other here because we're surviving the elements here. That is what marriage at first intended to be, to have two people come together, share their finances, share their house. I have sheep, you have, cheese. Let's come together, you know, and survive the world together. Um, that's how we approach marriage here, from a very legal place. And marriage there is two souls combining and two souls choosing to combine. Any two souls. There is no such thing as gender in that realm. Everything is non-binary in that realm, because it's just energy, and energies can change into any form they want, and identify themselves as any form they want. So that's kind of how it works. Good question though. Good question. Any other questions, or anybody else? If you want to book a reading, you still can. Also, want to remind everybody that I'm teaching a class on the class I'm teaching tomorrow. Tomorrow is really awesome. You can still jump on it if you want to. You can email me at AdelaLavine I mean AdelaLavine at Gmail, or you can message me. Um, this class is about the different interdimensional beings. So last week we did angels. This week we're going to do aliens and how to communicate and how they connect. And then the next week we're going to do fae. Um, and so we're doing angels, aliens, fae. And I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, deities. And I'm really excited about this because people are really into this, and it helps me to be thorough about each interdimensional being and how they connect and how they operate and the energies they use. And they're very, very different from each other. When you have recurring dreams about someone who's still alive, is there anything that, or is it just a coincidence? It depends on the dream, honestly, because sometimes it's psychological. I have absolutely had that happen, and I usually find it psychological when it's reoccurring. I know people think when something's reoccurring, that means the person's calling out their name, and it depends on the dream. Are you talking to that person? Are you not talking to that person? Are they in your life? Are they not? Did you have a fight at some point? You know what I mean? There's a lot of elements that go into this. So, yeah, it depends. There's psychological dreams where we're trying to work stuff out, and then there's spiritual dreams. Yeah, any other questions? Any other questions that you might have? And if anybody else is looking to get a reading, this would be a good time to jump on that. Really chill vibe today. I like it. No other questions. Everyone's just chilling. I did it early, so everybody's probably at work right now, right? Watching YouTube at work, are we? Or from home, because we can do working from home, right? Well, I guess it's crickets out here. So I guess no questions. Any other comments? Any other questions about anything else? Any questions about stuff I've put out there that I need to clarify? Classes, videos, my podcast, anything like this? Me watching at work. Oh, Jacqueline, you naughty, naughty one. No, that's good. I know. So this is the problem is that I try to do this a little later, but it tends to be much easier for me earlier. Um, and the last time I tried to come on, it just didn't work out. Does one's belief affect what they experience when they cross over? Nope. I'd be lurking. I do be lurking. I like it. No, your beliefs have nothing to do with how it is on the other side. It's kind of like saying like, "Listen, I believe that the sky is blue." And it's like, "Oh, I believe that the sun is blue." And you're like, "Okay, it's not going to affect. The sun does not get warm on me." It's like, well, the sun still is going to make you feel warm. You can believe all you want. So when people pass, they usually are surprised that all of the rules and regulations that we set up here and all of these kind of very staunch ways that the other world and the afterlife operates, they're very surprised at how that does not exist. And that's so whatever you believe here doesn't affect anything there. Everyone's always like, well, I thought we were going to have to pass through pearly gate, through the pearly gates, and someone was going to there check my name and all that, and it didn't. Curious though, do you achieve your archive your classes? I'm very interested in my financial system. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't archive them. I can't hold on. It's way too big of a files. Like these are big videos. It's just me. I'm not like a big organization. So I'm sorry, but what I do is that you can join a week after the class. If you're interested in the interdimensional being class, yeah, it has to be by tomorrow. I don't mind people joining the second class. There's only 4 classes. And I understand the financial thing. But you can join the second class, and I can give you the video. If you email me, I'll tell you how to do that. And then the next class isn't to the 13th, which is the learning how to scry and use spirit boards and crystal balls and things like that. I just can't thank you enough. We are burying my dad tomorrow, and I can't tell you the closure our reading brought me. Oh, that's so sweet. Can't wait to book my next. Oh, oh, that's very touching. I'm so glad that helped you. I really am. That actually means so much to me. This is why I do what I do. Yeah, yeah. Well, look for those signs, look for those signs tomorrow. Um, yeah, thank you all so much. If you don't have any other questions or if nobody else wants to book anything today, you know where to find me. I'm on Instagram at AdelaLavine, the House Medium on Instagram, my podcast, The House Medium, which I have to go record in a few minutes. And if you have stories you want to send in about paranormal experiences, the house medium at Gmail, and you want to be on, or if you want me to just read it in the reader's room, either way. And also on TikTok, Adele Levine, and my website, AdelaLavine.com. So I have all the things and a book, the variance in the narrow room. So I put as much out as I can. See you class tomorrow. Okay, Lolita. Are there such thing as bad spirits? There aren't really bad spirits is very, very rare. I call them they're kind of more mischievous spirits as more the common thing. The common thing is mischievous spirits, meaning like if you look at Beetlejuice, right? You look at the movie Beetlejuice if you haven't seen it, because we have some young ones. Um, they're like trying to be cool and kind of like not scare the people living there. And then they get like irritated because they're super disrespectful to their house and they're like gutting it and they feel like they just don't care about any of the people there. Because there is a way to walk into someone's home, especially people who died in like in that movie in a car crash and obviously left things that were meaningful to them behind. Um, they're trying to go like, hey, you're being disrespectful to us, and they kind of rattle things up. But also there are just little mischievous ones who just think it's fun, kind of like Beetlejuice himself, to mess with people. So there are spirits that just think it's fun to mess with you and kind of forgot what it's like to be alive and forgot how we're so naive and act like children and get easily frightened by any little thing. That's how they see us. And just knocking on it. You have to remember these are people who died. That's like always looking at the spirit world. That's like you looking at the people you love. Look around at the people you love. Anybody you love that right now, and you're going to one day think they're a monster. I mean, if one loved one of yours passed on and you really miss them and you love them and someone comes into your house and they're calling your grandmother evil because they're scared. So I mean, these are people, they're just people. You don't magically turn into something else or become a monster or something sinister just because you died. The only thing that is having a problem is that you can't see it and we don't want to see it. We're not open to seeing it. People aren't open to seeing it. So then you vilify it and it becomes scary. Oh, hey Kaylee, I was actually just wrapping up. I just was wrapping up. Um, I can do one last one for a future reference if people can not do super chat, because super chat, like I don't even get super chat for a very long time. And also, yeah, I know. If you're good with it, can I just put you on the list for next time and you'll be my first reading? Do you think that will work? Because I was just wrapping up. um, sure, that's okay. All right, I'm gonna put you on live, Kaylee. Kaylee, I'm putting your whole name so I know for sure. Um, yeah, I'm trying to do like lives at least once or twice a week. Twice, I feel like is being. I know that you're supposed to do it more, but I don't find it. Kaylee, why am I having such a hard time writing your name? It won't write your name. It keeps miss. I think this is definitely user error. I should have glasses. Okay, I got you on the list. But yeah, so you have to remember that the spirits, to wrap this up, the people that you're going like, "Ooh, everything's evil, it's bad." It's like, the person who made your coffee today, the waiter that waited on you at a restaurant, your friends and family, you're treating them like they're monsters, and they're just people who died. That's it. Um, there has been boogeymans created because if you make people afraid of death, then you can control them. If you make people afraid of what lies on the other side, I will definitely get an intuitive reading next life. Awesome. Um, then you can control them. If you make people always afraid of that, constantly putting it in their head, that there's nothing else here and nothing else lays there, um, then of course you can control people much better. It's not to glorify the afterlife. It's just to have a different perspective. Anyway, hope that made sense. Thank you all so much for joining. I will get you, Kaylee. Definitely, you'll be my first reading. Hopefully, you will see this. I tend to post when I'm going live on Instagram. I don't really post it on here because I tend to not. My schedule's so hard that I don't want to like post it here and maybe it doesn't happen. So I'm kind of doing it the day of. And so if you follow me on Instagram, AdelaLavine, you'll see it. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day. See you all soon. Thank you for all the awesome, awesome, awesome questions. I love answering questions. It's one of my favorite things to do. So never be shy about that. Follow yourself, follow no one, listen to your inner voice, and I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend too. Thank you.